Now a CNN exclusive, stunning new evidence of how WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange worked behind the scenes from his asylum sanctuary to influence the 2016 election in President Trump's favor. Our senior national correspondent Alex Marquardt is here with details. Alex, some of this evidence is documented in Special Counsel Mueller's report on Russian election interference.
That's right, Wolf. And now to pair with the Mueller report, we have this extraordinary new trove of material, which includes visitor logs, photos, and videos, among many other documents. Now, it was obtained exclusively by our colleagues at CNN Espanol, and it is incredibly revealing about how Julian Assange operated as WikiLeaks moved to publish documents that were hacked by the Russians during the 2016 election, all from the confines of the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he lived for 7 years until he went too far. In the months leading up to the 2016 presidential election, Ecuador's embassy in London turned into a command post for WikiLeaks. At its helm, the website's founder, Julian Assange, who was living there in political asylum. In stunning new detail, hundreds of security reports, videos, and photos obtained exclusively by CNN and verified by an Ecuadorian intelligence official describe how Assange released stolen Democratic emails directly from the embassy and who he met with, world-class hackers and Russians tied to the Kremlin. The explosive material, when lined up with the timeline in the Mueller report, paints a striking picture of how Assange orchestrated the game-changing document dumps from just a few rooms in the embassy. The exclusively obtained surveillance reports show that the WikiLeaks founder, who had been given asylum in 2012,
inside this embassy,
wielded enormous power in the building, rivaling even the ambassadors, with whom he would regularly clash. As these exclusive security photos show, he even got physical with the embassy guards. The documents describe how Assange demanded and got high-speed internet, phones, even a special guest list that allowed certain visitors to not show identification or be searched. Even as it hosted him, Ecuador hired 3 different security companies to carry out surveillance of Assange, including Spain-based UC Global, which compiled the reports obtained by CNN. The never-before-seen cache of documents says Assange installed his own recording devices and used sound machines so he couldn't be listened to, all of which may have played a role in his election interference. Assange has denied working for the Kremlin or receiving the stolen emails from Russia. WikiLeaks did not respond to multiple requests for comment.
He is temperamentally unfit to hold an office.
It was June of 2016. Trump and Hillary Clinton were the de facto nominees. It was looking like it was going to be a bitter election.
Hillary Clinton has perfected the politics of personal profit and even theft.
That month, according to the Mueller report, WikiLeaks communicated secretly with unidentified online personas who turned out to be Russian hackers. Meanwhile, the number of visits paid to Assange at the embassy dramatically picked up. The reports exclusively obtained by CNN show one frequent visitor was this man, Andrew Mueller-Magoon, a hacker whom the special counsel wrote may have assisted with the transfer of these stolen documents to WikiLeaks.
If you look at the internet from a perspective of people in power,
Mueller-Magoon had appeared on Assange's short-lived show on RT, the Russian TV network that gets its marching orders from the Kremlin. The security logs show that RT's London bureau chief, Nikolai Bogachikin, also visited that month twice. And during one visit that lasted only 5 minutes, he gave Assange a USB drive. Bogachikin defended his visits to Assange, telling CNN RT has produced multiple programming featuring Mr. Assange. Within that process, everything that is intrinsically involved in the production of content took place. Mueller-Magoon declined to comment to CNN, but told the Washington Post he never had the hacked materials before they were released. But U.S. intelligence agencies have concluded RT actively collaborated with WikiLeaks, playing a significant role in Russia's efforts to help Trump win, which RT denies.
Russian hackers have breached the computer network of the Democratic National Committee.
On June 14, 2016, the Democratic National Committee announced it had been hacked and accused Russia of being responsible. Trump dismissed allegations of Russian involvement, instead suggesting the DNC hacked itself. 5 days later, according to the exclusive documents, Assange got new equipment for data transmission. The embassy's security attaché even helped install it. On July 6th, WikiLeaks reached out to the Russian hackers, who used the names Guccifer 2.0 and DC Leaks. Those are covers, the Mueller report says, for Russian military intelligence. The Democratic National Convention is approaching, WikiLeaks warned the Russians, and Clinton will solidify Bernie Sanders supporters behind her. 8 days later, the group received encrypted files, according to the Mueller report, with the name Big Archive. That same day, Assange met again for more than 4 hours with Mueller-Magoon, one of at least a dozen times they met at the embassy before the election, according to the security reports. On the day the Republican National Convention kicks off, the security photos show a man in a mask and sunglasses arriving at the embassy. A guard left his post and collected a package. The documents suggest this was an arranged meeting. It's unclear whether that was related to a message sent the same day, July 18th, when WikiLeaks told the Russian hackers, according to the Mueller report, that they received the files and would release them this week.
Hell no, DNC! We won't vote for Hillary!
4 days later, WikiLeaks released a trove of stolen files, and all hell breaks loose. More than 20,000 emails from the DNC showing the preference of top officials for Clinton over Bernie Sanders. When the Democratic Convention opened, it was consumed by chaos.
Everybody settle down, please.
The DNC chair had to step down, and Trump pounced.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing.
As the election entered its final weeks, Russia, according to Mueller, wrote WikiLeaks offering more files. You won't be disappointed, the hackers wrote. After receiving several files from the Russian hackers in the immediate days prior, WikiLeaks started posting 50,000 emails stolen from Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta, revealing infighting and bickering.
If this was about transparency, they put them all out. So they're dribbling them out.
Mueller's team suspects that transfer took place on September 19th, the same day Assange met again with hacker Andrew Mueller-Magoon, according to the security reports. In the last month before the election, WikiLeaks released batch after batch of Podesta's emails.
This just came out. WikiLeaks! I love WikiLeaks!
Transcripts of Clinton's paid speeches to Wall Street, staffers criticizing her terrible instincts.
WikiLeaks. This WikiLeaks is unbelievable.
The U.S. government decided to get involved, according to a U.S. official and documents obtained by CNN, warning Ecuador, stop Assange or there will be consequences. Just 3 weeks before the election, Ecuador cut Assange off. No more phones, internet, or guests. Shortly after, the embassy relented on guest restrictions. And at 1 a.m. on October 19th, the security materials obtained by CNN show 2 WikiLeaks staffers showed up and took away about 100 hard drives. Security guards wanted to examine the hard drives, but they couldn't. The WikiLeaks personnel were on that special list of people not to be searched. One of the Ecuadorian ambassadors who worked at the embassy during Assange's stay told CNN he was never pressured by his government to give Assange special treatment. But this past April, Assange's world came crashing down. The asylum, his lifeblood, was taken away by Ecuador's new president, citing his participation in U.S. election meddling. British police carried him out of the embassy. And the U.S. Justice Department unsealed secret charges, but not for anything related to the election. Instead, it was for soliciting and publishing classified Pentagon materials in 2010. Assange maintains his innocence. And right on cue, Russia came to Assange's defense. Top officials accusing the U.S. of violating his rights, saying the hand of democracy squeezes the throat of freedom. Assange has now spent the past 3 months in British detention. He is currently in prison outside of London. Now, the fight for U.S. to extradite him is likely to be long, grueling, and complicated. His extradition hearing is set for next February in 2020. He has been indicted by American prosecutors, including 17 charges of violating the Espionage Act, and he could face life in prison. Wolf.
Why did the Ecuadorian leadership finally turn against Assange, kick him out of the embassy, and allow the British to detain him?
Well, it was largely because of who was in charge of Ecuador. There was a new president that essentially caved to U.S. pressure. In May of 2017, Lenin Moreno was elected. And what he said was the final straw was that Assange violated the norm of not intervening in internal affairs of other states, which is clearly what Assange had done in the U.S. That paved the way for Assange's asylum to be revoked and the British police to be able to go in and get him.
Very excellent reporting, Alex. Thank you very much, Alex Marquardt, with that exclusive report. And stay with